Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Fern Chronicles podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about motivation and ways to stay active and healthy during the quarantine and carrying that out after everything opens back up. Thanks for listening. Here we go. So for me, to start out, I would say that what resonates the most with me in terms of visualizing everything is momentum. So when I think about momentum, I think about having little changes in your life that you can kind of continue and make routine and turn into momentum, forward momentum, not something that is going to make you feel stagnant. That's something that I've struggled with actually quite a lot in these past 10 months or so during quarantine, is just feeling kind of stagnant, feeling like I wasn't really going anywhere, battling kind of mild depression. I'm lucky enough not to suffer from depression in a very serious way. But that being said, I do constantly look after my mental state. And in doing that, I'd say, momentum is probably one of the most, if not the most important things. So for me, to feel good mentally, I do have to feel good physically. So if I'm sick or if I feel super out of shape, I just don't feel good mentally. So to get that started, I'll literally do something as simple as, if I'm at a call or something or on my way out of a hospital. I work on an ambulance, so I don't get a lot of movement in the day. A lot of the day as an EMT. We are brought to you by PremiumJane.com. Please use the promo code FERN, F-E-R-N, for 20% off at checkout. It's a great company. They make products for humans and for dogs, so check them out. More info in the description. It's just kind of sitting there waiting for calls. So I do try to go out of my way to make sure that I do get some movement. So just little tiny things like maybe before I get inside the ambulance after a call, doing 20 bodyweight squats or something like that. And that really increases the blood flow. It makes me feel good. I really do get endorphins from it. And after I do something like that consistently, I feel like I've accomplished something, it wasn't too long ago. We're just doing 20 body weight squats. I would feel sore the next day. So after you do it for, a week or two, you don't feel sore. You get into that rhythm, and that's momentum. So just focus on those little tiny victories that you otherwise wouldn't have if you weren't being thoughtful. So if it's not something that you're doing, some sort of movement, I challenge you to do a 30-day kind of fitness challenge. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Literally, it could be something as simple as 20 body weight squats. If you have, something like, let's say you have a bad knee or bad hips or something, it doesn't have to be crazy. Just, don't go down all the way. Just go at a 30-degree angle in your knee, just enough to get movement. And see how that goes. And I guarantee that that'll make you feel a lot better after just the 30 days. You're like, okay, so I've done that. I am lucky in that my job allows me to be outside pretty much every day, but I can totally empathize with somebody who during quarantine, you just don't go out pretty much ever, ordering food, having it delivered to your house. You don't have to go to the office. If you were working in an office now, you're probably working from home. When you see your coworkers, it's almost certainly going to be, through a video message or, Skype or Zoom or whatever. So, it's really easy to just not put in that effort physically, but I think that's important. Before everybody lived in, townhomes, houses, apartments, we were all just running around, right? Not too dissimilar to animals in the wild. And I think that's something that's in our DNA, is to be physically active. And if we don't have that, I think that there's a really big chunk missing out of our lives that could really lead to satisfaction and really help take you out of that mental just block. It might feel like you're forcing yourself initially, but every little bit that you do, is going to get easier, and it's going to become more routine. So just try to focus on those routines and getting everything building up into momentum that will carry you forward. And the cool thing about that, obviously if you're working out or running, let's say you run a mile and it takes you 15 minutes the first time, you wake up the next day and your shins and your quads are just super, super sore. The fascia on the bottom of your feet are just super tight, and you feel like you just did, back-to-back marathons, which is totally common. You're not going to want to do it again, but let's say you give it a couple of days off so your body can recover, try it again. And then the day after that, you might be sore still, but you'll be less sore. Your body will become acclimated to it. I know this sounds very straightforward, but that's something that I struggled with a lot. I just started running again recently, and at about the 1.5 mile marker, my legs would start itching really, really badly. And after a little bit of research, basically what I found out was my capillaries were collapsing a little bit. So that's kind of what oxygenates your tissue between your kind of your arteries and your blood vessels, carries the oxygenated blood to the muscles, and then back into your veins to go back to your through your circulatory system into your through your lungs, basically, to get more oxygenated. And my legs, I guess, just weren't used to the workout anymore. So what I had to do was just start really slow, and it got to the point where like my legs would literally start itching so badly that it would drive me crazy, and I would have to stop. I would literally have to walk. I felt like mentally and like muscular wise I could keep going, but I would just get this crazy itching sensation. And yeah, I just had to be consistent with it and start slowly. So yeah, literally just doing half mile run out and then half mile run back to do just 1 mile, and then I had to tell myself I might be able to do more, but I just have to stop here. And just kept that sort of flow state where everything just kind of works. Your body is going to be becoming more adapt to what you're doing. You can run faster, further, longer, and it works. And I think that is basically how it works with just about every type of exercise that you do. I think there's something to be said about not kind of aiming to not be sore after a workout. Which sounds kind of crazy. A lot of people are under the impression, if you don't feel sore the day after a workout, you weren't pushing hard enough, which makes sense for sure. But if you're, let's say that you're working really, really hard and you're so sore, you do heavy squats one day, you wake up the next day and your legs are just so tight, so sore. Yeah, it takes 24 hours for this soreness to sink in, and 24 hours for it to fully leave. Sometimes even more, depending on how crazy you go. But if you just take it a little bit easier, maybe do 50% of your maximum effort there instead of going until failure. Maybe just go a little bit and then stop, and then the next day you're a little bit sore, but you can still go. You pump the lactic acid out of your muscles and build back even faster. Because that's how you build strength, is when your muscles get kind of deteriorated from the workout, they build back even stronger. I think that there's something to that. It will also allow you to be in a much better routine where you can have a daily exercise where you're not just, okay, here we go, this is going to be really hard, it's going to hurt a lot while I'm doing it, and it's going to hurt even more next day. If you're not training very specifically for an event like a race or, to become like a champion, weightlifter or bodybuilder or something, I don't think there's a whole lot of validity to training that way. I think that it's a little bit harder on your joints that way. Mentally, it can be a little bit harder to find motivation to train that hard. So try, it's just one of those things. Give it a shot. Try working out with the gas pedal pulled up just a little bit. It's something that, like I said, I've started doing, and it helps. You can stay healthy, you can stay active, you can stay strong, good endurance without killing yourself every single day with a particularly hard workout. And it's just so much easier to start. So yeah, I urge you to, if you've been pretty inactive, which, like I said, I definitely have been during quarantine, try something right until your body starts to say, okay, that's enough. I'm all about, the David Goggins thing where you can always do more, but at the end of the day, your body's going to get pretty worn out. Mentally, you're going to get pretty worn out, and when you're working out that hard, I think it takes away from a lot of the things that you could be doing with your day. So when you're running, a marathon every day or whatever, you come out of that and you're just completely exhausted. The time that it takes, takes away from things that you could be getting done. Let's say you wanted to, take care of some other hobbies that give you a lot of satisfaction, or spend more time with your family, or do something to push your career forwards. that's all kind of ties into it. So building that, like I was saying earlier, just building that momentum in my life has been a key to kind of finding balance, and it's really helped. So hopefully that's something that can help you. And while we're at it, I did want to also bring up the fact that I do firmly believe in warming up and cooling down. So as I mentioned, being sore at the end of a workout isn't typically ideal, or at least with the way that we're going to kind of start doing things. I would recommend against that. So with a warm up, maybe start, if you're going to be doing, say, the 20 bodyweight squats or going for a run, maybe do some really high squats. So where you're not going down very deep, I'm talking 10%, like slowly start moving the joints. After a few squats, maybe go down to 20-30% of a full squat. Just get everything warmed up. Maybe do some jumping jacks. If you're going to go for a run, maybe start with some high knees or butt kicks. Do some work to widen your gait, because I do, like I said, I really do think warming up and cooling down is important. So the warm up section is going to really effectively lubricate your joints. So with me, I had an accident when I was doing some firefighter training, actually. So just a little bit of a backstory. So for this section, you're carrying about 100 pounds on your person. So you have a weighted vest that weighs about 100 pounds, and you have to pull this hose. This is kind of just a training scenario. You have to pull this hose down this corridor. But while I was running, I had to wear particularly baggy pants kind of as a backup, and they weren't mine. They didn't fit very well. Long story short, my foot kind of caught the pant leg. My right foot caught my left pant leg, and I just my gait completely stopped while I was running, and I kind of flew through the air basically and landed directly on my kneecap on my left knee, on concrete, and I slid on it a little bit, and when it hit, I could feel my kneecap kind of slide up further than it ever has before, and then of course the impact was really rough. And it still is sore. This was a couple of years now ago. Yeah, about 2 years ago now. And yeah, that hurt a lot when it happened. I was able to get through the rest of the training to get that certification, kind of muscled through it. But yeah, that has been slowly getting better. I have not got it scanned yet. I know that I should probably go in and get an x-ray or a CAT scan or whatever, just to see what's going on. But what I find is if I am going to go for a run or something, it always hurts. Or if I am doing squats, it always hurts. But if I do some warm-ups where I just kind of do some stretching out and get the muscles and the joints warm, I mean, it's as if nothing's wrong. It makes a really big difference. I think increasing your core temperature, increasing your circulation, all that is really good for your body. I think it does reduce wear and tear on your joints. I think you can get more out of the exercise, and of course less pain, which is always a good thing. You can work out with more comfort, and I think that is going to improve the entire experience. And as far as the cool down, I believe that's also important. I don't think that kind of spiking your heart rate immediately and then just stopping is ever a good thing. I think that treating your body kind of gradually, just from my personal experience, this is very anecdotal, I do believe that is going to be a good thing for your system. So warm up, slowly get the heart rate up, slowly increase your core temperature, get the workout in, and then slowly calm down. So if you are doing a run, I wouldn't just run, as hard as you can, get to the finish line, or if you're on your treadmill, just get to, mile marker or whatever, and then just stop and hop off. I think it's really important to slow down to a walking pace if you're running, or just do some, body weight squats if you're doing weighted squats, and just really carefully take your time to get your heart rate down. For me, something that I like to do, so if I am running or working out, I generally wear a heart rate monitor, and I generally don't stop moving or at least monitoring my heart rate until my heart rate is down below 100 beats per minute. For me, an average resting heart rate is somewhere between like 40 and 55, depending on the day. So 100 is still higher than a typical resting heart rate, but after a workout, anything under 100 for me is pretty good. I'm not a cardiologist, I'm not a doctor, but that's something, again, anecdotally, that has worked for me and hopefully can work for you. And I've also noticed that well, not noticed, but researched and found out that while you are working hard, your cells produce waste products at a pretty high rate. And what that basically does, and this is things like, like lactic acid isn't necessarily a waste product, but it's something that enters your muscles when your cells are really getting pushed hard. If you do a light cool down, your blood circulates through, you get all the oxygen to your muscles, and all of the waste products from the cells, all that lactic acid just gets taken away. It gets picked up by your blood, replaced by fresh blood, nutrient-rich blood, and then your natural filtration system, like your kidneys, basically filter out all the toxins and things released by your body during exercise, and then you basically just urinate it out. So during your cool down, I highly recommend, if you have like a protein shake or if you take vitamins or whatever, drink that with a bunch of water, maybe some salts. I like to use a little bit of Celtic sea salt, just a little bit in some water, and that is gonna it basically acts as an electrolyte, so you can absorb more water. Your muscles will absorb all that nutrients, and after a workout, you have this window where your body can absorb more nutrients. It's just your body saying, okay, so we just did this exercise, we need to prepare for it if we do it again, so let's take on the nutrients that anything that is available. Your body basically is more of a sponge to nutrients. So make sure on your cool down you're taking in some good nutrients, taking in that protein shake, taking in some water, some electrolytes, and don't stop cooling down until your heart rate comes way, way, way down, and then you should be good. And that's again, a lot of it is anecdotal, but I've been into kind of working out and just general fitness for quite a while. And that's something that has really helped me. You'll be way less sore afterwards. You'll enjoy the workout more, and it becomes a lot more, I don't know if spiritual is the right word, but you feel a lot more connected to your body when you're kind of experiencing that ramping up and ramping down. It just makes you a little bit more in tune, and you'll kind of know what your body feels like under certain circumstances, and you'll know when you're pushing too hard, when you're not pushing hard enough, when you might need to take a rest day, things like that. So take that with a grain of salt, and maybe apply that to your life if you feel comfortable with it, and I'm sure it'll help out with whatever you're trying to accomplish, whatever kind of exercise you're wanting to do very, very well. And at the end of the day, I do believe firmly that once you realize you can start exercising regularly, maybe you can really go after that promotion that you've been thinking about, or that position that, maybe you didn't like this job, but you don't quite have the stamina mentally to apply to a job that you think that you're more qualified for, that you could do, that suits your needs a little bit better, but you feel a little bit more in a rut and you can't really get out. I think that, all of that will really help boost your confidence, not only to be healthier, but to get where you want to go. If you look down the road in 10 years and you just don't really see yourself doing anything other than what you're doing right now, if you're at a job where you're just not into it, but it pays the bills, but only barely. I know how that feels. I've been there many, many times, unfortunately, in my life, and and I'm working really hard to kind of grab my life by the horns and hopefully help inspire you to do the same thing. That's I think a really good place to start. So we'll do this challenge. We'll start today. If you're listening, I'll check in every day, and we'll see how it goes every day for 30 days. So we have let's start it like this. So let's do 20 body weight squats for the first day and see how it goes. So just stand up, squat down, stand up. So that's one. Go to 20 and let's see how it goes. I think that we can all get this done, and really looking forward to the results. And as always, thank you so much for listening. I would like to take a minute to tell you, if you felt like following, liking, commenting, rating, all your support really does help. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.